voice of growth, mastering the mind and market.
Welcome back to the Voice of Growth podcast, Mastering the Mind and Market. My name is Manny Teran, and I'm your host. On today's podcast, we're coming to you on location from southeastern Arizona. I'm here near my hometown. I came down for the Thanksgiving celebration and felt this would be a good time to talk about gratitude. Gratitude is one of these very celebrated words, but sometimes there's a deeper meaning behind them that can hold a lot of power. You see, gratitude is one of those rare feelings that can straddle the line between being selfish and being selfless. The idea of gratitude is oftentimes something that is very personal and sometimes even expects you to have an outward display of it as well. Let me talk about the selfish side first. That word selfish has a very negative connotation. Usually when people use that word, it is that they're describing somebody who only takes their own desires, their own wants and needs for themselves in spite and above others as well. And just having said that right now, it makes me think that maybe there's nothing wrong with that word selfish. I ascribe to some of the doctrines of Ayn Rand. Of course, she's a celebrated author who talked a lot about being selfish and the human drive that drives people to success. And, you know, that word is thrown around and it has that negative connotation. People talk that person's selfish. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. And so that's just part of it. Yes, it can have a negative connotation to it, but there's also an underlying deeper drive that can actually lead someone to do more. It's the idea of when you go, of course, on the airplane, they say, you know, put your mask on first before you put your child's mask on, right? The oxygen mask. Similar thing. If you are selfish, if you put your desires and your needs, and if those desires and needs are for massive wealth or personal growth, or if you want to start a foundation, whatever that might be, that's your selfish reason. And then how you take that and spread it out to the world and actually do stuff about it, now that's a different story. So gratitude is basically taking the one hand of being completely selfish, because when you have gratitude, it's internal. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for this beautiful land that I'm in right now. I'm grateful for this beautiful day. This is all gratitude that's internal to me. I am celebrating this gratitude for myself. Very selfish. And on the other side, there's an expectation about gratitude being expressed. And that's the selfless side. So if you ascribe to this modality, this dual modality, then the idea is that showing your outward emotion about being gratitude and grateful for things, showing that in both your words and your actions. So I feel as though gratitude for me is powerful. Of course, I mentioned the internal side. But when I am grateful for someone, when I'm grateful for something, I'm not shy. I make it known. I reach out to people and I say, hey, I'm thankful for you. Appreciate what you did for me. And I show that and I express that in my words. But I also send messages. I also send gifts. I also make connections and help people move their career along. And that's how I show my gratitude. So in this time where we live by these things, right? Everything is transactional. Everything is, what am I going to get from this interaction? I think we need to flip the script. I think we need to first be grateful for the opportunity to be entrepreneurs and business leaders. We're here as an expression of really the culmination of our experiences. You know, if you are a business leader, owner, whatever, you took someone else's success, whether it's a family member or somebody that you look up to in the business world, and you used that as a model for yourself. You saw a world that had successful people in it, and you wanted to be part of that world. And that's sort of that first step. Then being grateful for your health. Health is one of these things that I've expressed in other podcasts as well, that if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. But when you have your health, you have the ability to have everything. And that is very important. I am someone who, for a long time, took my health for granted. And that you can blame it on genetics. I have good genetics. I was never sick, common cold here and there and all that. But I really took it for granted. And it was about, 7-8 years ago that I started taking it more as a priority. And that is, of course, part of my journey. I was with someone in my life that was important, and she was very much into nutrition and eating right and working out. And she really helped to show me a path for the fact that if you have your health, then you can operate as an entrepreneur at a higher level. I have people in my life that are not healthy, and it reflects in their work. It reflects in their ability to do things, and it breaks my heart, to be honest, because I've known some of these for a long time, and their health has declined over the years, and a lot of it is just for maintenance reasons, right? They don't maintain it. I'm not ascribing here to be some hardcore fitness guru or anything. I'm just saying be grateful for your health and do something about it. That's the other side of gratitude. When you are grateful for something, you want to take care of it more. If I'm grateful for my health, then I'm going to take care of it more. If I'm grateful for my family and for my friends, then I'm going to take care of them, and I'm going to keep those relationships strong. I'm going to do what I can to make sure that is something that continues to give me joy and gratitude, of course. And so sitting in here in this desert, this is one of my favorite places in the world, believe it or not. Nothing too magical except for in my own heart. It is a part of the Sonoran Desert. It's dry. It has lots of cat claws and mesquite. But there's something about this particular place in the world that means so much to me. When I was a kid, I would ride my motorcycle out here, out of 13 years old, 12 years old, not a care in the world. And I just fell in love with this area. And so this is really magical that I was able to come out and talk about gratitude in a place that I'm very grateful for. I'm grateful that I have my family that are healthy and strong. We had a great Thanksgiving. My kids are with me. And, that's all something to be very grateful for. I'm also grateful for my failures and my experiences in life that have shown me a deeper appreciation for my own journey. I was a kid. My father died when I was 1 year old. My mom moved back to my hometown here. And so I was raised always under the shadow of my father's death. And for many, many, many years, I pushed that back on that because I felt, look, people would say, oh, he looks just like his dad. Or I'd walk into a room and I'd see people's eyes look at me. And it created this bad feeling or whatever about my father's death. I didn't want to be pitied. And so it wasn't until I was probably in my early teens that I really came to grips with the fact that I'm proud to be like my father. I'm proud to have look like my father. That's not taken away from who I am. It's adding to who I am. And that, one of the words I love to use a lot is identity. Identity is such a powerful word. And it's misconstrued as well. Just like gratitude, identity can span many, many modalities. And for me, identity is a core function of how I express my inner desires, my inner thoughts. We'll get into more identity later in another podcast, and I've talked briefly many other times. But with respect to the shadow of my father's death, came to grips with it, and that was a defining moment in my life. I have been raised by women, my mom and my grandmother, and then later my stepfather, who in many ways was a good, I don't know what you want to call it, good leader in seeing the way that certain things need to be done. He was a very hardworking guy. He really took care of the family, and he did what he could. But there was a lot of lack as well. There was no emotional regulation. He had a lot of problems that he expressed on the kids, and I don't really have any bad feelings for him, my first stepfather, but I am grateful for the lessons he taught me. All these things, right? There's a negative to them if you think about the negative, or you can think about the other side, which is how can I grow from this? And then on through college, on through been married and had that whole experience with a beautiful, very smart woman that became my wife and later became my ex-wife. And through that process, learned a lot, learned so much through that process, and was able to bring two amazing boys to this world through that union. And as much as someone might see it as a failure, it was a magical and very life-changing success. These two boys are everything to me, and I'm doing my very best to raise them in the Stoic virtues and in the way that I believe will guide them when I'm not around, and they can use that as a springboard for their own success, their own life of joy, and in the pursuit of success. On through my relationship that when I was engaged to someone and a very amazing person in my life, helped me grow tremendously as a partner, as internally really helped me to guide this whole journey with this podcast and what I'm doing here, was instrumental. I have nothing but gratitude for her. It didn't end in a way that was perhaps befitting of the way it started. But these things, we can't always be the most careful with things, Life is a full contact sport, and we're going to get hurt. We're going to get beat up sometimes. We're going to get thrown around. We're going to get bruised, if you will, and that's just how it is. The other side of gratitude has to also do with forgiveness of yourself, of others. If you're grateful for what you have, and you're grateful for the journey and the learning and all of these elements that make up life, then you'll take care of it and you'll actually reflect. One of the things I learned a lot about myself in this whole process is I need to reflect. And my reflection doesn't have to be on, some top of some mountain necessarily, or some pilgrimage. It comes in moments. It comes in a drive, a 2-hour drive, when I'm able to just turn the radio off and just think about things. It comes in the form of I'm getting ready for bed and I'm kind of beginning to doze off and I'm starting to think about certain things. That's reflection. Reflection comes at a red light. It comes at random times, and, take those opportunities to reflect. And to finish off the idea with gratitude, I'm very grateful for my partner now, and, how much she supported me in this journey, and helping to push me and help me to almost hold a mirror to my face to see my potential. And we need people like this in our lives. We need people that help really show the ugly truth, but show the beauty behind it as well, and challenge us. When we have a partner that just it's a yes person and they don't challenge you, how does that help you grow? Helping someone is sometimes what you need to do by saying no, by saying, hey, look, you didn't do this correctly, or this is something that I don't like about this, or here's an element where you can improve. Man, those are hard to hear sometimes. Those are hard to hear, especially if you're like a hard-driving entrepreneur kind of person and you're like, you're always trying to do better. Sometimes we don't stop and listen. So I know I've kind of meandered around today with this podcast, but I wanted to talk about gratitude. And I'm grateful for my team as well that produces this podcast. And I'm grateful for my friends and my family and this time we have together in my expression of this to you, my audience. And as we grow the audience, as we grow the viewership, it makes me excited because I know that I take bits of wisdom from many different places and podcasts. And I certainly hope that you take a lot from this as well. And I hope that you take the time this Thanksgiving season in particular to be grateful, to be thankful for all the things in your life that have brought you to the ability to exercise on your dreams. And I'm proud to say that that for me, this is one of the expressions of my dreams. And, I love running my company. I have IR Labs, amazing people in that company, and I'm very thankful for that as well. And I'm thankful for the community of Tucson. I've been doing a handful of podcasts on business leaders in Tucson, and I'm just so grateful and inspired by these leaders. And they help me to understand that I have a role in the success and moving the community of Tucson forward. And I'm doing my best day in, day out. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And with that, we will close for today. I'm going to go watch some football and enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Thank you very much. Cheers.